Hello everybody and welcome to attempt number 3. All of you who think that I'm so good at this and so calm, cool, and collected, boy, you should have caught me on a day I'm doing a live in a giant group of 560,000 people. I am beside myself. Welcome to today's live. I am Danielle and I help soul-led female coaches move through their fear of being pushy in sales conversations and help them to double their income within 3 months by using heart-centered, soul-led, relationship-based selling strategies that feel good in the very bottom of your heart and the depths of your soul. And I do that through one-on-one coaching. And welcome to today's mini training. If you're joining me live, I would really appreciate if you could do a hashtag live in the comments for me, or drop me a heart or a like or something like that, because doing that absolutely helps to boost the algorithm, and of course it also lets other people in the group know that I am doing this mini training, and it kind of lets them know so that they can come in and join us. So let's talk about the 3 numbers in your business that are going to help you to serve more clients. Who here is not actually serving as many clients as they'd like to? Can I get a little raise of the hand here? You can put something in the comments, or you can simply, think that through and maybe contact me later, also fine. But let's talk about not serving enough people in our business. As soul-led women, it is our heart's desire to serve, right? Would you agree with me on that? Service, being in service, is one of the most important things to us. And so when we are running a business and it is our goal to be in service to people, and we're simply not attracting the kinds of people or the numbers of people that we're looking for, it's really important that we have the understanding of the numbers in our business and the skills to decode them. Because here's the truth about numbers, being a numbers gal. Numbers can tell a great story. And a lot of my clients, when they come into things, they just feel like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They take guesses at whether it is their attraction, in terms of their marketing, whether it is their ability to convert a sales conversation, whether it is their sales funnel has got a leak in it somewhere, or some kind of a blip that's not working for them. And so what I want to talk to you about today is about which of those 3 numbers and how to find those numbers are actually going to give you the best impression of where you go next. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love if you could put those in the comments for me. I see Cheryl is with me. Hey, Cheryl, welcome. And we'll just keep going with comments. I do have a whiteboard behind me so that if I'm trying to explain something, I'm a visual person, so I like to have those visuals available to me. So I'll try to use that. If you're a visual person, hopefully that helps. But let's talk about business, and let's talk about serving enough people, okay? First and foremost, do you have an idea in your mind of how many people you need to serve to achieve your financial goals? That's the first number you need to know. How many people do you need to serve to achieve your goal? And do you know how to calculate that? That one's a pretty easy one, actually. So let's imagine you set a goal that you want to that you want to earn $120,000 in a year, right? If we were to break that down on a monthly basis, it would mean that you need to earn $10,000 per month as an average. And if you were to break that down even further and ask yourself, so what is each of my clients worth to me? What's my session price or my program price? What is each client worth to me? And how long do I intend or expect to be in service to that person in order to help them to resolve the problem that they're having, the challenge that they're facing, whether it's in their business or in their life or in their mindset or in their spirituality, whichever blockages you want to help them to remove, whichever hurdles you want to help them overcome. How many people do you need to serve by drilling down based on what is your hourly rate or your program rate, and what is your goal for the full year? And I see Wendy's joined us. Hello, Wendy. So once you know those 3, you can actually drill it back down. So let's go back to that example of $120,000 a year that you want to earn. Breaking that down to a monthly amount, we know that that means you want to earn $10,000 a month. Let's imagine for a moment that your hourly rate is $200, okay? So once you put that $200 into the $10,000, you now know how many hours you need to work. Well, how many hours are you anticipating serving each client in a month? Based on my program and my schedule, I see people every week. So that means I'm providing 1 hour per week per month. So if I need to make $10,000 and I'm charging $200, it means I need to have 50 hours of work in actually coaching my clients. Has anybody got a calculator? Did I do that math right? You let me know if I've done that math right. So 50 hours, how many hours per client? 4. Divide that 50 by 4, and what have you got? Well, you've got like 13. Well, it's actually 12 and a half, but we're going to round up because you can't serve half a person. So what I know for my business is that I need to serve 13 people each month in order to earn that $10,000 if I charge $200 per hour for my service. Okay. Now, you know how many people, you know what your goal is, and that in itself takes a lot of pressure off because there are 7 billion people in the world, right? Do you want or need to serve all of them in order to be successful? I hope you're shaking your head and going, oh my gosh, I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Anyway, if you realize that you cannot possibly serve all 7 billion people, and you understand that actually, wait a minute, I only need to serve 13 per month, it takes a lot of the pressure off about how many people do I need to be bringing in as new clients each quarter, each month, each year, right? So 13 people. Now the next 2 numbers that we need to look at, because we've already taken the pressure off. Now what we need to look at is we need to look at how many people are my marketing efforts attracting to actually book calls with me, right? Simple number. And what you want to be able to uncover is, where is my best bang for my buck? What is the most effective marketing I'm doing? So some people do paid ads, some people only do organic, some people only post in their own group, some people only work with people that are on their friends list. So it doesn't really matter where you're gathering your audience from. But what you want to know is, in each of those places, how effective is that? What's my return on investment? So on average, when we're first starting out in particular, I think we spend an enormous amount of time on social media building and posting to attract our ideal clients. Would you agree with that? I hope you're saying yes, I would agree with that. Leave me a message in the comments there and let me know if you agree. Yes, I spend a lot of time on social media trying to attract people. So when I first started, I must have had to have been 50 groups. Does that sound about right? Does that sound about like what you've done? Just in my effort to get out there and figure out where is my ideal client hanging out and how do I reach her and what kinds of messaging does she want to see and hear about. I did a lot of research. 50 groups, though, that's very time consuming, especially when you consider each person that you are trying to serve likely belongs to at least 2 or 3 of those groups, potentially even more. You don't want to bore them with the same message in every single group, right? So it takes a lot of time to craft unique messages, one for your wall, one for your group, one for the other groups that you're participating in. You may actually ultimately be crafting 7, 10, 20 messages on a daily basis. Very, very time consuming. And I don't know about you, but when I first started out, hello Prue, I see you there, welcome. When I first started out, I certainly couldn't have afforded to hire a VA, so I was doing all of that work for myself. Very, very time consuming. And the fact is, that's not really an income producing activity. Not really, not directly. And I'm going to show you why. When we are posting in other groups, one of the things that's really important to understand is, was that worth my time and effort? And we can't do that just based on one post. We have to have a series. We have to have a collection over different times of the day, different ideas in there, different post types in there to see what kind of posts are getting engagement, right? What we want to determine, though, is what's the return on that investment? What's the conversion that I'm getting from that? Because this action that you're doing to attract your clients is going to lead to booked initial discovery calls, and then hopefully from there, booked clients that you're seeing on a regular basis. So this action is actually quite important, but it's an indirect income producing activity simply because it's kind of like throwing spaghetti on the wall a little bit or throwing darts at a dartboard, if any of those 2 analogies make sense for you. And really what you're trying to do is you're trying to determine, well, where should I be spending my time? Just because a group has a lot of people, let's imagine that a group has 63,000 people, Does that mean that that's where you should be spending all of your time posting just because it's a big group? And gosh, throwing some spaghetti at the wall, eventually somebody's got to bite, right? It's not quite like that. We're not casting our line into the pond and trying to pull, randomly and waste all of our day doing that, right? Which is what a lot of fishermen do, isn't it? So what we want to do is we want to analyze whether or not what time we're spending in those groups and doing those posts is actually worth our effort. And if it's not, we need to make hard decisions to move on. So I've actually created a tracking spreadsheet that helps us to analyze what kind of return on investment we get from spending time in each of the groups. And what it actually allows us to do is look at how many posts am I putting in, how many likes am I getting, and how many actionable comments am I getting. So when we're looking at that, what we're going to take is, okay, so I did 6 posts this week in that group. From that, I got, let's imagine, 300 likes, 300 reactions. But what if I only got 1 actionable comment? And what do I mean by an actionable comment? I mean you have actually engaged in conversation that has then led to sending out your booking link. And depending on your strategy for that, whether you are the kind of person that instantly goes into the DM or whether you're a little softer touch like I am and you wait a little bit longer and you actually develop a relationship first is irrelevant. What matters is, can I action on that comment? Or was this simply a matter of, let's get to know one another? Maybe you sent a friend request. Maybe they sent you a friend request. Is that actionable immediately? No. So we want to measure what are the actionable comments that we're getting out of these, okay? And so once we know the actionable comments based on the total number of posts that we did in that specific group, it's just a matter of a quick divide. 1 actionable comment into 10, for example, posts means a 10% conversion rate. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, and send me a question if that doesn't quite make sense. Again, maybe I should be doing it on the board here. So once you know that number, you can make determinations about whether or not you should be continuing to attempt to post in this group, or if you should simply be answering comments as you're scrolling on through. Because one of the most important things about being in business for yourself, especially when you are a one-stop shop, a Jill of all trades, if you will, that has to be managing all of the tasks every day, you got to divide your time. You cannot be constantly in 100-hour-a-week work mode. If you do that, you will burn out. It's that simple. So use the information that's available to you in the numbers that you can quickly and easily access. Using a simple Excel spreadsheet, you can track how many times did I post, how many times did I actually get actionable comments, and what's the ratio. 1 out of 10 is 10%. So I'm getting a 10% conversion on that. And depending on which experts you speak to, they will tell you that actually 10% is pretty darn good, actually. 10% is good from a marketing perspective. So when we're talking about lead conversions, when we're talking about impression conversions, those kinds of metrics around marketing conversion, 10% is a decent number. That's pretty good, right? So if that's where you are now, congratulations, you are doing spectacularly. If you're not, it's time to start looking at, am I participating in the right groups, and am I saying the right things? Okay, so that's one of the numbers. So the first number you need to know is, how much do I want to earn this year, so that I can break that down into how many people do I want to serve each month. And as I say, that takes a little bit of the pressure off. Number 2, know how effective your participation in individual groups is, because that's your lead conversion into your funnel, right? If you know what a sales funnel is, the top is all of the leads, and as it trickles down, those become clients. Love to show you a graphic on that. I'm not really sure how to do a screen share on a Facebook Live, so perhaps next time. Or join one of my webinars. That'll work too. The third number that we want to talk about now is sales conversion. Sales conversion is a very different thing. That removes all of the, I'm trying to get people in my sales funnel, and now you're actually closer down to the bottom of the funnel, and now we're actually having conversations with people. And depending on your definition of selling, you might be thinking, I'm trying to convince them to sign up for my program, or you may be thinking, I am trying to offer them a solution that's going to solve their problem. So depending on how you define selling, that could be how you look at what kind of conversation you're having. So when I'm having conversations with potential clients, and I do call them prospects. So when I'm having conversations with potential prospects, what I'm trying to do, of course, is convert them into my client. And here's something you never want to say, oh, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Have every single conversation, even when you think, oh, not a good fit, I can tell from the way they talked in their comments, they are not going to be a good fit. Don't worry about that. Because what you get when you keep doing these sales conversations is you get practice. And if you go into a conversation with somebody that you already feel this about, maybe you need to open your mind up. Maybe you need to consider doing some open-ended questions with them, because that's how we communicate empathically. It's how we understand a person. We understand their perspective and where they're coming from. You may be surprised that by asking some open-ended questions and removing judgment, how somebody that you thought wasn't a good fit could actually be a good fit. But more important is the practice you get when you have those conversations. One of the things I did early on, because my 30-year career in selling high-end products and services, one of the things I never had to do was actually sell myself. So in this case, coming into coaching, now I have to sell myself. And I had to really do some real digging to understand what it was that was my value. So what I did is I set up sales conversations to try to convince my sister, my husband, my best friend. I've set up conversations with strangers that I'm connected with on Facebook who I thought, well, we have a good rapport, why not? Because I needed the practice. I needed to be able to move my way through, and they were safe. So that might be something that you could do to practice that if you're not feeling so up to, if you don't feel like your skill set is up there. But let's go back to the number itself. When we are talking about sales conversion, we're talking about how many appointments have you booked? How many discovery calls, clarity calls, initial consult, whatever you call them, how many of those have you booked? How many became clients? Let's go back again to I spoke to 10 people. I had 10 initial conversations. And those are the ones that are booked through your booking link, and you actually sit up and it's one-to-one and you're sitting there face-to-face having that conversation. Those are the ones I'm talking about, where you're literally trying to sell them on your program or your offer. How many of those are you having in a month? And how many are actually closing? Closing means they decided that they were going to seal the deal. They took on your service or your product. Okay, so that's closing. How many are you talking to, and how many are actually saying, yes, sign me up? Again, that ratio is a really important number, and that one's called conversion rate or close rate, depending on who you speak to. Old school saleswoman here. So that number will actually tell you whether or not you are effective at doing this. So it's about effectiveness in all three of these numbers, really. So how effective are you? Because we're all doing these things. This is the truth. We are all doing them, but how effective are we at doing them? Conversion rate, though, when it comes to sales, the expectation is significantly higher than 10%. So if you are not currently achieving a 50% or higher close rate, meaning I spoke to 10 people, I signed on 5. If that's not your experience now, there could be some development opportunities in there for you to actually improve your ability to sell. And I would strongly recommend doing it in a way that is, heart-centered, relationship-based. I would definitely not suggest doing the spammy-pammy kind of thing, simply because that really turns good people off. And if that doesn't feel good in your soul, you shouldn't do it. It's that simple. If it doesn't feel good in your soul, don't do it. Okay? So that conversion rate, though, if it is below 50%, then you have an opportunity to develop. If it's above 50%, let's look at the other two numbers that we talked about earlier. First and foremost, if your conversion rate is 50%, but you are not reaching the $10,000 a month goal, then what that tells me is you're not speaking to enough people in a month. You need to actually attract more. If, however, you have 5 people and you're actually exceeding that $10,000 a month, sister, you are on fire. Don't change yet. Wait until you're ready to scale and grow. Now imagine instead you're not even having 3 conversations. So sure, you've got your 5 clients a month. But those 5 clients a month are all you have. So we said earlier that to get that 120 at the $200 an hour rate, we actually need to see 13 people, but we're only seeing 5. It means we need 8 more. Well, if only one person is becoming a qualified lead for us, that number of people that we're actually creating actionable comments in groups from, we know that where we need to focus our attention is actually on that part. That's the skill that we need to improve. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So let's just recap super quickly if that's okay. First and most important number, know your goal. Know how much it is that you are trying to earn or how many people you are trying to serve. And you can do those back and forth, right? Because they actually do go hand in hand. They're directly proportional to one another. The number of people you are going to serve is directly proportionate to the the amount of money that's going to come in. Because most of us don't go, I think I'm going to charge you 100 and I think I'm going to charge you 300. Oh, and you, I'm going to give a deal. I'm only going to charge you 75. We don't do that. We have a set price. So whether it's our program or our hourly rate, it's easy to calculate because of that. And if you need some help with that, feel free to reach out. I have to be honest with you. I just dig numbers like nobody's business. I am a numbers kind of a gal. A former boss used to actually call me digits because I do love my numbers and I love the way that they tell a story. So knowing what your goal is the first and most important thing because it's the goal that tells you where I need to improve. Am I achieving the goal? Do I need to change anything? Right? So that's what knowing that number tells you is, do I need to change anything? Or am I making it? Am I doing exactly what I want? The second number you want to know is my marketing working? And you know that your marketing is working by making sure that you've got enough people coming into that sales funnel, enough people booking appointments with you to actually fill your calendar if you hit a minimum of 50% conversion on the sales calls. So is your marketing working for you? That's lead conversion, and that's how many posts am I posting compared to how many actionable comments, how many calls am I booking? That's that conversion, okay? The next number, the last number, is sales conversion, and that is how many people am I talking to compared to how many people actually book on with me to become my client. My goal tells me, am I actually needing to change anything? My lead conversion number tells me, is my problem my marketing? Am I not doing enough to attract? And my sales conversion number tells me, am I effective at this? Do I need to learn how to sell better? So if you are a soul-led woman who is in business for herself as a female coach, and you have any fear at all about moving through the sales process, and you are looking for a way to make that feel more comfortable, and you want to do that in a way that feels good in your soul, because I don't know about you, but if something doesn't feel right in my soul, I get the heebie-jeebies and I just don't want to do it, and we just get so resistant. And that's not a mindset thing, that's a that does not feel good thing. So if you want to feel good about making your offers and you want to serve more clients, let's talk about how your numbers are actually working in coordination with one another, and let's identify exactly what it is that you need to work on. And if it is your sales skills, let's talk about how I can help. All right. I'm going to drop my link in the comments there. And if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you to remember to just click on that if you want to book a call with me. And in the meantime, I hope you have a phenomenal day. I hope that you are booking lots and lots and lots of sales calls. And I will talk to you again next time. Thanks so much for your time today. Have a great day, everyone.